We'll continue on. Got my dog here next to me. A Messenger from the Gods, Chapter 3. As the warm sun simmered down, the two companions' faces shone like golden coins as they laid outstretched among the rolling sand dunes. Universally, this had to mean something positive, as only Mother Nature illuminates such profound matters. Apparently, they had spent 4 days struggling through the sleek desert sands, only rarely finding water. There was no shade, just fields of shimmering gold that shifted like snakes before one's eyes. At night, this sand appeared like hills of dust that extended up to the star-flecked skies. No one knew how long more it would take them. Fionnuala shut her eyes tight and promised to herself that the next day would bring some progress. Indeed, her wish seemed eternal, like the sleepless nights she had been having. She wondered if she would ever be able to make her wish come true. Her determination was beginning to be tested to the limit, and tiredness was already catching up. She needed she needed to rest. Her heavy limbs sunk into the smooth sand. Her head flopped and she turned to look at Crink. She gazed at her companion, who seemed to have endless endurance, and could sleep whenever it suited him. Crink was well snuggled up, half in, half out of the warm sand. Looking and thinking of him made her smile, and it was him who would keep her trying. He would be a friend for life. She was so divinely lucky to have met him. From the beginning, her common interests and caring personalities, from the beginning, their common interests and caring personalities bonded them tightly. Obviously, it was all just meant to be. And after all, they did just happen to meet by bumping into each other. At this reassuring thought, she felt calm enough to close her heavy eyelids and to try to sleep, knowing that she was in fate's hands. Good hands, let's say. She kept her body close to his, and out of nowhere, a loud noise shot through the night. It came from overhead and was getting louder. It was a flapping of some sort, but nothing could be seen. Then, like a lightning bolt, appeared a small flying horse. He had a long twisted horn and splendid wings. It appeared to be a unicorn. Such astonishing beasts were rare, even in this part of the world. Immediately she thought that water mustn't be far. The dazzling white animal seemed to have landed beyond the last sand dune and on the newly turquoised horizon. Fionnuala's heart picked up pace as she woke Crink up and leapt off to take her chance on trying to catch the mysterious beast. Meantime, Crink knew that the unicorns were extremely useful. They possessed an age-old wisdom, knowing the deepest secrets of the mysteries of the world. If you ever caught one and managed to mount it successfully, it would be forever loyal to you. Indeed, straight away this idea appealed to him, as then he wouldn't have to carry Fionnuala so often. Crink ordered Fionnuala to come back and sit down quietly to think of a plan. This young woman had admirable willpower, but definitely lacked caution. Soon the two would come up with a cunning plan to catch the prestigious animal. The mythical creature gleamed almost supernaturally in the moonlight. It was as if it were a ghost drinking from what seemed to be a lake shrouded by towering palms. On approach, Fionnuala had to start crying, and Crink, using his handmade palm lasso, would loop it around the beast's neck in one go. Not liking this, the unicorn reared up and bucked about in anger. Crink was flung up and down the air, but never let go. Fionnuala couldn't help keeping her laughter. She shrieked and giggled in awe at the circus rodeo of the two bouncing along the sand dunes, until Crink grew bigger and heavier, allowing him to haul down the wild horse. What an opportunistic yet courageous personality this crab had. For being little, he had great strength of both mind and body. Quite rightly, if there's a will, there's a way, and in fact, he was right. In order to achieve things in this world, one has to take the plunge when it's presented. It seems that is where the skill lies. Next, Fionnuala had mounted the beast easily. She approached the beast and flung up a leg from under her long tattered dress to mount its back. In the background, the outsized Crink kept yelling, "Quick, get up!" and the pretty horse rose up from the ground with its fair maiden on board. The pair looked extraordinarily well together, almost like parts of a puzzle that matched perfectly. Then the unicorn launched into a full gallop, sending the sand flying in all directions. The horse next cocked its nose up high, flared its nostrils, and flapped fiercely its long feathered wings. Gracefully, it steadily rose up into the air, and Fionnuala's face showed a wide smile of satisfaction. Crink laughed in happiness while blocking his ears as the beast was quite noisy. Feeling better, he began to shrink back to his original size. And after a while, it then started to worry him as to whether Fionnuala was successfully dominating the beast or not. He remained on edge as he watched them circle in all directions overhead. All he could do was hope that the unicorn would not take her away. Fionnuala, on the other hand, seemed truly at one with the animal. Both animal and rider shared similar long white hair that swished in the air like entangled veils. Shortly, this magnificent animal would swoop down and come to a halt. It was obeying its daring rider. Crink lost his balance from looking up and toppled over, choking and spluttering in the sand. For both, it was a great moment of success, and all they could do was laugh and smile in joy. Their laughter suddenly calmed down when they saw how the panting unicorn bowed its head and started to speak. I am Ulysses, and I am forever at your command. I just had to choose that name, it just came up. At last we've done something right, exclaimed an overjoyed Crink, wiping the tears from his eyes. Fionnuala didn't let herself get too emotional this time, and replied without thinking twice. Please, fine beast, can you help us? We mean no harm. We are dying of thirst, and we need to find the wishing woods. Be careful for what you wish for, as those woods are bewitched, exulted the unicorn, who was shaking his head about in agitation and started to paw the ground. Fionnuala argued, but the woods are our only hope. We'd fight for equality. Don't you want to roam peacefully? Don't you want an even better fairy world? Or don't you want an even better and fairer world, dear Ulysses? I am at your command, and peace most of us seek, but not all. Nonetheless, I will always do as you ask, stated the fine beast, now collapsing on the warm sand in retreat. Crink figured that Ulysses knew something he didn't. Although the unicorn's loyalty was gained, Crink still wanted to know more about this creature, so he politely asked, Gentle, loyal Ulysses, you might tell us a little about yourself when you're ready, before we proceed on a dangerous journey. Oh, and please bring us to where there's some water to drink. The water can't wait, my friend. I will first tell you about myself. You must know that I cannot age. Unicorns are very rare. I know of no other. I am a lonely beast. I am kind, and I only hurt those who wish to hurt me. A bull once tried to kill me, and I had to fight for my life. I survived, but he didn't. I am loyal to the first who tamed me, and I can remain forever close by their sides. I can fly far, and I know all the world's history from the beginning of time. I keep no secrets, I have no purpose, I live for living, I am happy to help, and I don't take sides regarding the beasts and the humans. It is a unicorn's nature to always remain natural and neutral, and to only obey its master, told the solemn animal, bowing his horned head. Indeed, his loyalty seemed formidable. Crink sighed relief at Ulysses' words and also jumped up on board the flying animal. It was time to move on. They flew for some time through the mist, the heavenly clouds and twinkling stars. They peered down on the peachy seas, scattered islands, snowy mountains, and deep valleys. They stopped to drink in a river and then proceeded on with their flight. Thoughts of hope began to come to Fionnuala's mind. Funnily enough, and from a safe distance, this new world appeared much more pleasing to the human eye than the old one. Magic had enabled it to repair itself. Indeed, this new virgin territory, which was completely untouched by man's hand, seemed to exhale in a great sense of immortality. Nice, powerful words in this book. Chapter 4, A Changeling King. And we should keep reading on here. So, to continue on, I was just going to take a quick video of the map, if you don't mind. So, where's the screen? Got the screen there. Got the screen up. Got the screen up there. So, A Changing King, Chapter 4. All of these wondrous adventures could be seen quite clearly through Gerla's crystal ball. He'd been following the girl's movements just like her father had followed those of her ancestors. He, being a skilful warlock, knew that Fionnuala hadn't yet discovered who or what she really is. While he knew that in fact they were very like and both had important powers, Jarla, the king of the New World and son of Artlan, creator of the New World, is a changeling or a fairy child, meaning that he was half human and half other, just like Fionnuala, who didn't know anything as of yet of the matter. These half-breeds can only be recognized by their symbolic finger rings. Now, Jarla himself was still quite young, 17, and had become very attractive and wise. His long dark mane tumbled down his strong back. His half-human, half-horse ears were distinct and peeped through the sides of this massive hair. He displayed a high forehead and sharp dark eyes. His chest was broad and solid, while his hands seemed strangely elegant. He, like his father, was lucky to be trained in his youth to find his strengths and weaknesses. He never stopped studying and trained very hard physically. The art of magic was passed on to him by his father, who was a very ambitious man and extremely ambitious for his only son. Jarla was under his father's constant apprenticeship and so became a very good warlock. Jarla had learned that other changelings existed and how important it was to control them in any kingdom. His father had always feared them because of their unknown powers. Therefore, Jarla knew that Fionnuala, who was currently posing a threat to the kingdom, was also halfling. She was born half human, half unicorn. She had had her unicorn-like features removed when she was little, as the horn and tail were particularly bothersome. Her white hair and wing bumps on her back were the only physical characteristics that remained of her true nature. Somehow she had inherited the unique ability to become invisible. Jarla had her well studied and knew her childhood games. Furthermore, she possessed the unicorn's gift of eternal youth and sheer beauty. Unicorns can never grow old. Jarla knew that her parents preferred to protect their daughter from reality and never told her the truth about her origins nor that she was a changeling. They tried their best to cover it up, just like their parents did to them. Jarla knew, though, that only when Fionnuala discovers who she really is would she come into full blossom and find real meaning in her life. She wanted to make sure of this, as after careful observation it felt that she should be his. He was always told that he would need a wife to keep the kingdom going. Actually, and quite naturally, he felt drawn to her, as no other halflings were quite like her. Now, not only was she physically unparalleled too, but she was smart and caring and strong-willed. He would have to be careful, though, as at present she was his greatest enemy. Nonetheless, and more importantly, Jarla knew that at all costs Fionnuala was not to get to the wishing woods and make her wish, for if she does, her father's spell would be broken, as spells can only be undone by like kinds. For him and his family, the guardians of the Nine Peaks, natural stability is priority, and the beast must remain free from human control. At all costs, the old world cannot be permitted to return, even if this meant that blood might have to be spilled. His palace was located high up in the mighty mounts. These had 9 peaks in total, and its inhabitants were known as the Guardians. And these were no ordinary mountains. They were twice the height of the old world's Himalayas. Their slanty sides and jagged edges indicated that whomever lived up there had great endurance and could be also quite hard at heart. Quite terribly, Jarla's mother had died at childbirth, and he had never known her, while Artlan, Jarlan's father, had reigned for a long time afterwards. He had only recently had the help of magic did he finally succeed in overthrowing the humans, but died sadly in the process when a human's arrow hit his heart. Therefore, young Jarla was abruptly left in charge, but he was well prepared for his role. As only a few days after his father's death, the young king knew that the battle between the humans and beasts had to end. He did not support his father's cruelty and violence, especially at how the humans were being slaughtered. A certain amount of law and order he felt was needed, as the animals were getting out of hand. Ironically, all his father's magic couldn't save him in the end. It was his father who had found a magic stone to help him overthrow the humans and establish the new world in the first place. Jarlath knew that his father's treasure stone had to be kept away and very safe and well hidden. This is very important, and something else was starting to trouble the young man's mind. Jarlath knew that sooner or later he would need a successor, yes, right, before it was too late. It would not be an easy task to find the ideal wife, and he had every guardian out looking for one. Although he secretly desired the beautiful Fionnuala, he could not see how he could possibly have her given. He could not see how he could possibly have her given the current situation. Indeed, it would be no easy task to win her love. Only time would tell, for time was something that Jarlath was short of. His crystal ball glowed and flashed. Swiftly, Jarlath's thoughts flashed back to current matters, as danger was imminent. It was time for him to intervene and meet Fionnuala face to face. Unfortunately, in the most unromantic way ever, as at present she had to be stopped from destroying his kingdom. Exotica and its charms. We should read to chapter 5 like I said we would do, and we take a break then. Meanwhile, Queen Fionnuala and Ulysses came to rest in what appeared like a tropical forest. Crink yelped in great excitement. "We've made it to Exotica! I knew it existed! Here is where the sapphire dragon lives, the most powerful magician of all." The funny-looking crab then suddenly felt the urge to nibble on something. Nearby, he found a broken coconut and scrambled inside, munching all the while. This was his way of looking for inspiration. The brain needs food to work. He thought to himself while eating that sort of thing that he liked, the way that the animals were raining, in a way, for a change, because they weren't very intelligent, not emotionally anyway. So a combination or pact between the two sides seemed the only fair solution. Exotica itself fooled one's mind, as plants and animals are seen as one. Plastics of all shades of greens, mingled with browns and yellows, dominated our vision. Here, camouflage was the game. Even the white pampas grass betrayed their eyes into thinking Ulysses was strolling about. The overly immense vegetation was entangling and bountiful. The orchids, passiflores, and jasmines were gigantic in size, and featured in every nook and cranny of this immensely knotted jungle. The scents were hypnotically sweet and potent. The trees themselves couldn't be seen fully, for they grew wide and high, hiding the sky. The colors were multi and bright. Anything that was fluorescent was venomous, for sure, thought Fionnuala, as was the case with the rainforests of the old world. At times, it really did occur to Fionnuala that the old world was very much present in the new one, and maybe things that change are sometimes for the better than the worst, as we may often confuse. Things must evolve and improve, as is the law of nature. Indeed, having the beasts reign is not the only problem, but having them kill human life is. Life is sacred, and just like the flora and fauna in Exotica, all things can learn to live better and together. Fionnuala was convinced that this could be. Nature itself seems to guide us in how to live. Just then, Ulysses appeared in front of them and spoke hastily. "It's time to move on. I have found where Drone resides." On his back, the glorious villain suddenly swooped down as if on a suicide mission. Fionnuala didn't expect this at all. She and Crink began to scream in fear. So when they landed, they were only too glad to get off their sometimes scary friend. Ulysses did leave them at Drone's, the sapphire dragon's cave, stating that at nightfall some pollen from the passiflora must be put into the dragon's ear. Then the beast would become sedated and could help them, for neither his voice nor mind would be lost. Thus, the unicorn left Fionnuala and Crink with a flower head that they had earlier rummaged out. And so we'll continue reading chapter 6, I think, in the next episode, and 7, and then there's an epilogue as well. So I guess in the next video we'll finish book 1 of my trilogy. The adventure continues.